So, yung topic natin for today is Hardy-Weinberg's equilibrium. So, ano ba yung Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium? So, it is a population sa allele and genotype frequencies are constant. So, ibig sabihin, related sa population. So, ano ba yung population? So, population is a group of individuals of the same species at the same place at the same time. Okay? That which is species? Which interbreed or which the individuals interact, interbreed, and exchange genetic material. So, kumbaga, kung maalala nyo, yung hierarchy ng level natin ng ano, so from cells, meron, group of cell is tissues, group of tissues are organ, group of organ is organ system, group of organ system organism, and then group of organism, population. So, ibig sabihin, same species at the same place at the same time. So, sila yung population. And then, syempre, group of population is community. And then, syempre, yung sa ecosystem natin. So, yan. So, population has an important role in evolution. So, bakit siya may important role in evolution? So, the population only can evolve, not the individual. So, ibig sabihin, kumbaga, since the population is undergoing evolution and not the individuals, the changes should be in the genetic constitution of the population. So, syempre, dahil ang sabi natin, kasi yung population is the basic unit of evolution. So, siya yung basic unit of evolution. Dapat, para masabi natin na merong evolution, meron siyang change in the genetic composition. So, yan, change in the genetic constitution. Okay? So, syempre, mag-iba yung sa difference ng inheritance ng genes sa population and sa individual. Okay? So, ano ba yung population genetics? So, population genetic is the study of distribution and changes of allele frequency and interaction of alleles in a population. So, syempre, meron tayong mga evolutionary forces na kung saan nakaka-affect siya dun sa population. So, ano yung una? So, yung una is natural selection. Yung pangalawa is genetic drift. Pangatlo is mutation. Pang-apat is gene flow. So, yan yung apat na evolutionary forces natin that we will discuss further after nitong Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So, para mas maintindihan natin yung Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, kailangan nating alamin kung ano yung mga, mayroon tayong mga certain terms na kailangan alamin, kagaya nitong Mendelian population, which means a group of sexually interbreeding organism, na kung saan tinatawag din siyang genetic population. So, syempre, alam natin si Mendel yung sa inheritance. So, tinatawag din siyang random mating population, and it is characterized by individuals having somewhat similar genetic constitution. So, ayan o, community of similar individuals. So, dahil similar individuals sila, meron silang genetic or meron silang similar genetic constitution. So, that is given at a time and capable of interbreeding to produce fertile offspring. And then, meron tayong tinatawag na gene pool. So, yung gene pool is a sum total of genes of all the individuals of a Mendelian population. So, yung dinidescribe nitong gene pool, yung mga yung genes present dun sa population, tapos yung proportion ng proportion of different kinds of genes, and then meron tayong pattern of distribution of genes in the individual, pattern of distribution of genes in the individuals of population. Okay, so ayan. Example, we take the seed shape character of pea plant. So, syempre, meron tayong proportion of smooth allele and wrinkled seed, kung naalala nyo pa. And then, how these alleles are distributed among the individuals. So, yan yung so, yung sa itong alleles na binabanggit dito, yan yung sa homozygous at saka sa heterozygous. Heterozygous. Ayan. So, yan yung gene pool natin. So, ano naman yung gene frequency? So, yung gene frequency is a proportion of allele in the gene pool as compared with other alleles at the same locus with no regards to their distribution in organism. So, tinatawag din tong allelic frequency dahil yung genes niya. Okay? So, example natin, halimbawa, meron tayong 100 population na meron, so sa population, ayan, na merong 2 alleles na A, on a locus. So, kumbaga, itong population na to, pwede siya magkaroon ng 3 types of individual dahil meron tayong dalawang allele. Okay, so ito yung allele natin. So, meron tayong una, so meron tayong 1/4 homozygous dominant. Naalala niyo pa ba yung sa Punnett square natin? So, meron tayong AA. Okay. And then, meron tayong 1/2 heterozygous dominant. So, ito yung AA. And then, meron tayong 1/4 homozygous recessive. So, ito yung AA. So, na kung saan, ang given natin is 100 population. So, ibig sabihin, ito is 40%. 40, ito ay 40, ito ay 20. Okay? So, paano nangyari yan? So, para malaman natin yung frequency nung A allele, ang gagawin natin is 80 plus 40 divide natin sa 200. Saan nanggaling yung 80? So, yung 40, letter A. So, ibig sabihin, 40 dito, 40 dito. So, 40 plus 40, 80. So, syempre, dahil meron tayong isa pang A dito, meron tayong plus 40. Bakit naging 200? Dahil dalawa yung allele dun sa locus. So, ang frequency ng A is equal to 0.6. And then yung frequency nung small a is ano? So dito naman siya. So ibig sabihin 40 plus 40 divide by 200 is equal to 0.4. Okay, nakuha po ba 'yon? So, ibig sabihin, the gene frequency can be calculated by dividing the number of a particular allele. So, ito yung allele natin. So, dalawa yan. In question with the total number of allele present in that locus in a population. So, yun na nga. So, itong AA na to at itong isa pa. Okay. So, ayan yung ano natin. So, ayan. So, yan yung sa gene frequency. So, in the frequency of allele A is presented by P and that of gene A is represented by Q, and at gene equilibrium condition, their total frequency is represented by 1. So, ibig sabihin, at equilibrium, P plus Q is equal to 1. O kaya pwede natin sabihin na kapag meron tayong P is equals to 1 minus Q or Q is equal to 1 minus P. Okay? And then, meron tayong tinatawag na genotype frequency or genotypic frequency. So, genotypic frequency is the total number of a kind of individuals from a population, all of which exhibit similar character with respect to the locus under consideration. Okay? So, it can be determined by dividing the number of individuals with that genotype by the total number of individuals in the population. So, halimbawa natin yung kanina. So, yung A natin, so, syempre, alam natin na pag big A, ito yung dominant. Kapag small a, ito yung recessive. So, ibig sabihin, there will be 3 kinds of individuals in a population. So, kagaya ng binanggit ko kanina, meron tayong AA, meron tayong homozygous dominant, heterozygous dominant, and homozygous recessive. So, ibig sabihin, kung yung N natin, so sabihin natin N, is equal sa total number of individual, total number of individual in a population. So, yung D natin, D is for dominant, is total number of homozygous itong dominant. And then yung H is yung for heterozygous, total number. And then yung R is for total number of homozygous recessive. So, ibig sabihin, so ito ay dominant, ito, tas ito. So, ibig sabihin, the genetic frequency of AA, okay, so genetic frequency of AA is equal to D over N. Yung genetic frequency ng heterozygous is equal to H over N. And then yung sa homozygous recessive natin is equal to R over N. Okay? Nakuha po ba yan? So ngayon, ano ba yung, so diyan napapasok ngayon yung Hardy-Weinberg's equilibrium. So ano ba yung Hardy-Weinberg's equilibrium? So in-introduce yan nung unang picture kanina. So si Hardy is a mathematician. Okay, tapos si Weinberg naman is physician. So, yung sinasabi dyan is the relative frequencies of various kinds of genes and alleles in a large and randomly mating population tend to remain constant. So, ibig sabihin, constant from generation to generation in the absence of mutation, selection, and gene flow. So, ito yung evolutionary forces natin. Evolutionary forces. So it describes a theoretic situation in which the population is undergoing no. So, kumbaga, absence nga. So, ibig sabihin, walang evolutionary forces. So, ibig sabihin, if the evolutionary forces are absent, the population will be large. Ayan, so large. Its individual have random mating. So, random mating. And then, each parent produce roughly equal number of gametes. Okay, so ibig sabihin, the gametes, so equal number of gametes. So, ibig sabihin, the gametes produced by the mates combined at random and the gene frequency remain constant. So, ibig sabihin, at genetic equilibrium of the gene in question is maintained, the variability present in the population is preserved. So, ibig sabihin, no evolution in population. Kapag meron tayong Hardy-Weinberg's equilibrium. So, para saan ba yung Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium? So, ito yung nagiging basihan kung merong evolution na nangyayari. So, dahil constant nga itong Hardy-Weinberg's equilibrium, dito nila binabase kung merong change dun sa genetic composition or constitution ng mga population. Okay? So, sabihin natin, suppose yung kanina natin, a population with gene A and small a on one locus, the frequency of gametes with gene big A will be the same as the frequency of capital A gene. So, similarly, frequency of gametes with small a will be same as the frequency of small a gene. So, kumbaga, ang given natin is itong 36. So, the numerical proportion of different genes in the population, dahil pagkakapare sila, so ito yung 36, 48, and 16. So, paano ba nakuha yan? So, ibig sabihin, yung AA, pag inanuhan mo yun, which is yung total population nung, ito siya, okay, they will contribute approximately 36% of all the gametes in the population. And then, yung small AA, has, yung, ito siya, so 16%. So, ibig sabihin, approximately 16% of all the gametes. So, yung gametes from heterozygous natin, so yung heterozygous natin is 48. Okay, so 48%. Saan nanggaling yun? So, ibig sabihin, it will have two types. The A and the small a. So, in equal proportion. So, ibig sabihin, meron tayong 24 dun sa capital at meron tayong 24% dun sa maliit. Kaya pag tinignan nyo, okay, so ito yung 48 natin kanina. So, ito yung 24 tapos yung 24. So, pag pinag-add nyo, total is 60% and then 40%. If the gametes unite at random, the total number of different genotypes will be, so ito yung sinabi ko kanina. So meron tayong 36 and then 24 sila. And then meron tayong 16 na small a. Okay? So yun. So yun. So in Hardy-Weinberg's equilibrium, if the frequency of capital A is represented by P and if the frequency of small a is represented by Q, and if there is random union of gametes with gene capital A and small a at equilibrium state, the population will contain the following frequencies of the genes capital A and small a generation after generation. So, paano natin makukuha yan? So, ito yung meron tayong, naalala niyo yung Punnett square? So, doon sa Punnett square, so A, tapos P square. And then A, and then PQ. And then meron tayong A, capital A, small a, and then meron din tayong PQ, and then A, tapos Q square. So yan, so dito natin makukuha yung genotype frequency or genotypic frequency. So meron tayong A, so ito yung isa. And then meron tayong, so ito ay base sa theory of probability. So, and then meron tayong isa, dalawa, na 2A, and then meron tayong isang A. So, yung genotype frequency or genotypic frequency. And as for the gene frequency, so ito yung gene frequency natin. So, meron tayong P square, and then dalawa yung PQ natin, and then ito ay square. So, ayan. And then, so, wait. Ayan. So, Q square na nanggaling dito sa ano natin, sa last na probability dun sa nakuha natin sa Punnett square. So, ibig sabihin, the relationship between gene frequency and genotype frequency can be as ito. So, P square plus 2PQ is equal to Q2. So, kumbaga, base dyan sa dalawang yan, meron tayong P square plus 2PQ is equal to plus Q2 is equal to 1 or P plus Q square is equal to 1. So, kung mapapansin nyo, ito ay binomial expression ng gene. So, ibig sabihin, in a large random mating population, not only gene frequencies but also genotype frequencies will remain constant. So, para saan ba yung Hardy-Weinberg's equilibrium? So, ito yung significance niya. So, gene and genotype frequencies of different alleles of a gene in a population remain equilibrium. So, constant nga. Mating is a complete random phenomenon in a population, and then only large population follow Hardy-Weinberg's law of equilibrium, and then gene frequencies will be unpredictable in small population dahil nga kino-compute siya, and then all the genotypes in a population reproduce equally successfully. A population in Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium do not show evolution. So dahil nga wala yung evolutionary forces. And then the variation in Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium is produced by mutation, selection, migration, genetic dip. So ito yung sinasabi nating evolutionary forces or evolutionary forces. And then, so ito yung, ayan na nga. So if these evolutionary forces are not there in the population follows Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium kasi nga constant. That means the population in Hardy-Weinberg do not show evolution and should, in other words, the process of evolution the population should not follow Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So in practice, or in summary, there are two equations necessary to solve a Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium question. So meron tayong P plus Q is equal to 1. And then yung P square plus 2PQ plus Q2 is equal to 1. So lagi silang equal to 1. So pwede nyo gamitin yan para ma-check nyo kung tama yung sagot nyo. Dapat equal siya sa 1. 1. So where P is the frequency of the dominant allele, Q is the frequency of the recessive allele, P square is the frequency of individual with homozygous dominant gene. So meron tayong example natin is AA. And then 2PQ frequency of individual with the heterozygous dominant gene. And then Q2 is the frequency of individual with homozygous recessive. Okay, so in practice, so consider flower color in a hypothetical population of 1,000 plants with two alleles, capital R and small r. These alleles shows incomplete dominance. So naalala niyo ba yung incomplete dominance? So kumbaga, sabihin natin yung homozygous for allele R, so ayan, is red. Okay, so meron siyang allele na RR. Homozygous for allele small r is white. Okay, so ayan. So ito yung RR. And the heterozygous plants small r, will have pink flowers. So dahil nga red at saka yung white, dahil incomplete dominance. So suppose this population include 490 plants with red flower. So meron tayong 490 plants with red flower, 420 with pink flowers, and 90 with white flowers. Calculate the gene and genotypic frequencies in the given generation in the next generation. So, paano ba natin kukumpitin yan? So, meron, sabi natin kanina, meron tayong ilang red. So, meron tayong 490 red flowers. Meron tayong 90 white flowers, and then meron tayong ay mali, hindi pwedeng ganyan. Kasi ang gagamitin natin is yung given. So ibig sabihin dapat ang gagamitin natin is yung colors mismo dahil yung mga genotype yan. So ito ay red, ito ay white, and then ito ay pink. Okay, dahil kukuhanin natin mamaya yun. So, yung pink daw is 420. So, paano nyo mako-compute? So, these plants, so syempre yung mga plants na yan ay diploid. So, ibig sabihin, meron tayong 2,000 copies of the alleles for the locus. So, kagaya nung kanina natin na naging 800. So, ibig sabihin, para dun sa R natin, so meron tayong 1,000 times 2 is equal to 2,000. So, R1 accounts for 980. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Yung sa alleles natin. So, allele, ayan. So, para dun sa R natin, okay? So, meron tayong 980. Bakit naging 980? So, 490 times 2 equals to 980 for RR plants. And then, for R, okay? So, meron tayong, ang sabi dito is 420. So, times multiply by 1, 420. So, meron tayong 420. And then, para dun sa ano yan, so meron tayong, kumbaga, ibig sabihin, so the frequency of the, kung R allele is, so i-add natin yan, 8, 10, 1. So, meron tayong 1, 4. So, 1, 4, divide natin sa 2,000. Okay? So, isa lang kasi yung ano natin R dito. So, i-divide natin sa 2,000 is equal to 0.7, which is 70%. So, ibig sabihin, so yung P natin is equal dun sa 0.7. P, 0.7. Di ba nga kasi yung P natin is yung dominant, so capital. Yung Q natin is yung recessive. So, P is equal to 0.7. So, therefore, so, ibig sabihin, yung ima-minus na lang natin yung Q. So, Q is equal to yung formula kanina, 1 minus P. So, is equal to 1 minus 0.7. So, is equal to 0.3, which is 30%. So, the sum of allele frequencies must be equal to 1. So, 0.7 plus 0.3 is equal to 1. So, yan yung sa P and Q natin. P and Q. Okay. So, ngayon, para makuha natin yung dun sa yung ano natin, yung kasunod natin. So, assume the members of the population have equal chances of mating with each other, meaning there is random union of sperm cells and egg cells. So, gagamit tayo ng Punnett square. So, nandiyan yung given natin. So, yung P natin is yung 0.7 and then yung Q is equal to 0.3. At tapos, ayan, 0. So, parent. Yan yung parent natin. So, ibig sabihin, so pag pinag-multiply natin, so P square. So, ibig sabihin 0.7 square is equal to 0.49. So, pag ibig sabihin 49%. Ayan, yung RR natin. And then, ito naman, so 0.3 times 0.7 is equal to 0.21. So, ito yung sa RR natin. So, same with dito, 0.3 times 0.7 is equal to 0.21 yung RR natin. And then, itong sa Q square is equal to 0.3 square. So, ibig sabihin is equal to saan? 0.09. Okay, so kumbaga mangyayari niyan, so yung RR natin is equal to 0.49 times 100 is equal to 49%. And then yung RR natin is equal dahil 0.21 plus 0.21 is equal to 0.42 times 100 is equal to 42%. And then yung small r natin, which is 0.09 times 100 is equal to 9%. So, ibig sabihin, pag pinag-add natin itong 49, 42, and 9, equal siya or total siya sa 100. Okay? So, if you compute for the gene frequency in the next generation, so the square root of P square, so ang gagamitin nyo na yan, is yung square root ng P square. So, the square root, so kumbaga, ano ba yung square root ng P square? So, square root of P square, okay, so is equal to 0.49, which is equal to 0.7. And then, dun para sa P equals to P yan. And then, yung kasunod naman, so yung yung small RR is equal to Q is equal to 1 minus P. So, ibig sabihin, equals to 1 minus 0.7 is equal to 0.3. So, ibig sabihin, the gene and the genotypic frequencies of the original population and the next generation are the same or constant. Ibig sabihin, the population of the flower color is in Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So, yun. May tanong po ba?